Now we come to the second talk of the session. This is by Mr. Karl Abelard Villegas and Dr. Consuelo Habito. Both of them are from Faculty of Management and Development Studies at the University of Philippines. And they are jointly going to present this particular paper. And Mr. Karl has been serving as consultant to FAO, USAID, Global Affairs Canada, ASEAN Center of Biodiversity, and then European Union. And of course, Dr. Habito, her research interests include watershed management and wood culture and heritage and community resilience. She is professor in the University of Philippines. So welcome both of you, and the floor is all yours. You can start, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta, for the warm introduction. Greetings from the Philippines. I am Karl Abelard Villegas, an assistant professor under the Faculty of Management and Development Studies at the University of Philippines Open University. On behalf of my colleague, Professor Consuelo D.L. Habito, I will be presenting the topic Ongoing Native Challenges and Opportunities in Philippine Native Tree Species Utilization. The Philippine Forest Land. Under the Regalian Doctrine, all lands of the public domain belong to the state. These are classified into agricultural, forests or timber, mineral lands, and national parks. The total land area of the Philippines, which is legally classified as forest land and alienable and disposable land, is 30 million hectares. Out of this area, the forest land consists of 15.8 million hectares, while the alienable and disposable land accounts for 14.2 million hectares. The classified forest land comprises of various classes that include established timberland, established forest reserves, national parks, or game refuge and bird sanctuaries and wilderness areas, civil reservations, military and naval reservations, and fish ponds. On the other hand, the unclassified forest lands make up about 2.5%. Deforestation in the Philippines. The table presents a historical account of the forest cover in the Philippines, starting from the 16th century up to the year 2020. Before the Spanish colonization of the country, at least 92% of the Philippines was covered by tropical rainforests. Based on these records, under the revised Master Plan for Forest Development, the country had an estimated 27.5 million hectares of cover. However, in year 2020, this has dramatically declined to only 7.2 million hectares, or roughly 24% of the country's total land area, resulting from deforestation and forest degradation processes. Philippines as a megadiverse country. The Philippines is one of the 17 megadiverse countries which hosts about 70 to 80% of the world's biodiversity. It has more than 52,177 described species, which more than half are endemic or found nowhere else in the world. However, the Philippines is also one of the most heavily impacted of the biodiversity hotspots due to deforestation and forest degradation threats, with more than 93% of the regional natural vegetation already gone, based on Mittermeier of Conservation International. Less than 6% of the country's original forest cover remains. Accordingly, to Fernando et al., there are 12 types of forest formations in the Philippines. These are tropical lowland evergreen rainforests, tropical lower montane rainforests, tropical upper montane rainforests, tropical subalpine forests, forests over limestone, forests over ultramafic rocks, beach forests, mangrove forests, peat swamp forests, freshwater swamp forests, tropical semi-evergreen rainforests, and tropical moist deciduous forests. So we have quite a diverse type of forest in the country. In terms of forest products and resources, Philippine forest products are mainly classified into two groups, namely timber and minor forest products, or the non-timber forest products. That includes all products of the forest other than timber. Among the principal timber species in the country, these include the Philippine Mahogany group, or locally called the Lawaans. This is not really a true mahogany, but applies to a number of wood or lumber species coming from Southeast Asia, which belongs to the Dipterocarp family. The term Philippine Mahogany was adopted as a commercial trade name during the 1960s up to the 70s decade, wherein extensive timber harvesting occurred in the natural forests. The Lawaans mainly comprise of the timber trees from the genus Shorea. This group of trees have already been depleted and had been classified as vulnerable to endangered in its natural habitat under the International Union of Conservation of Nature. In our country, the top locally produced logs are introduced or exotic species. These are Gemelina arborea, the Swietenia macrophylla, or the big leaf mahogany, including the Paraiso falcataria, or known as the falcata. In this slide, you will see the threats to the tropical forests, which are burgeoning industrialization and globalization, massive road and highway expansion, illegal logging activities, explosive growth of biofuels, agricultural expansion, population growth, threats to protected areas, climatic and atmospheric changes, as well as invasive or alien species. In this photo, you will see one of the protected areas in the northern part of the country. So you will see one of the problems will include also grass fire, extensive agricultural intensification, as well as illegal logging in the mountains. Okay. So in this, it's moving. So in this slide, so you will see that the threats to tropical forests, which include the local people harvesting firewood from the forest and other surrounding areas. Usually, carabaos are being used to haul timber, including other NTFPs. In fact, in some of our restoration areas in the country, people relentlessly also cut those which have been replanted or taken care by the government. Sustainable Development Goals. So forests are considered as one of the most valuable natural resources in the Philippines. These provide a range of ecosystem services that includes habitat for biodiversity resources, provision of timber and non-timber forest products, food crops, water, climate regulation, and others. In this context, forest resources, including the forest ecosystems, contribute to the attainment of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The SDGs are universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and improve the lives and prospects of everyone, everywhere, based on the definition of the United Nations Environment Program. Paradigm shift to conservation and utilization of native tree species. The Philippines has 3,600 identified native trees, 67% of which are endemic, according to Angelina Galang in 2012. This is attributed to the richness of biodiversity in the country with exceptional levels of endemism. Much of our forests are threatened by deforestation and degradation, which supports the habitat of native as well as principal timber species, especially those belonging to the Dipterocarp family, or what I have mentioned earlier, the Philippine Mahogany group. Lesser-known species of timber trees could serve as alternative to the Lawaans for utilization purposes, including the use of exotic and invasive species. According to Rainforest Restoration Initiative, the native trees support the restoration and expansion of habitats for threatened native plants and animals, contributing to improvement in biodiversity. Professor Mark Ashton of Yale University also mentioned that native species are resilient and could improve the productivity and value of the ecosystem services. Native trees could bring huge benefits to nature and livelihood of the people through conservation and enhancing forest production by way of establishment of tree farms and development of forest plantation. This could therefore support the wood requirements of the forest-based industry in the Philippines. In this slide and the coming ones, I will giving you a snapshot of 10 potentially lesser-known species of trees for utilization aspects. So we have first the Lytsea cordata, or commonly known as marang. It is indigenous to the country, but it could also be found in the Philippines and secondary forests at low and medium elevation. It is high as 30 meters. Conservation status is least concern. It is fast growing. The wood is used for construction, house building, decorative work, such as interior finishing, paneling, plywood, furniture, wood carving, and cabinet making. We have a second potential lesser-known species, the Melia azedarak, or the commonly known as Paraiso. Other names are white cedar or bagalunga. It is indigenous and distributed in the Philippines. Can also be found in India, Nepal, tropical China, Japan, Malaysia, and along seashores, bamboo thickets up to 1,200 meters in elevation. Goes as high up to 15 to 20 meters. It is not threatened. It grows very fast. The wood is used for light construction and cabinet making, primarily due to its resistance to termites based on the World Agroforestry Center study. It is excellent for wood carving, manufacture of agriculture implements, handles, plywood, boat making, boxes, and poles. It is for reforestation and agroforestry, also for landscaping, roadside planting. So in this picture, you will see a mother tree in one of the forest estates in the central part of the Philippines. So this is estimated to grow natural, and by accounts of the local people, this is about a 12-year-old matured mother tree. So Melia means the European ash. Azedarak is a Persian name for a noble tree, and Melia azedarak belongs to the mahogany family. Good news for the country's wood carving industry, which has been experiencing shortages in its raw material supply. In a recent study, 2 wood species were identified by the Department of Science and Technology as a substitute and ideal materials to the traditionally used forest species of Lytsea latensis, or locally known as baticuling. Baticuling is now classified as threatened species by the government due to overuse and slow growth, causing a substantial decline in its natural population in the recent decades. As alternative, Paraiso is considered to be a fast-growing native tree that could provide sources of sustainable materials through establishment of tree farms and plantations. So you will see the local artisans and craftsmen carving and tested substitute species like Melia azedarak in these photos. So this could support the local wood carving industry in the Philippines. Another potential tree is Vitex parviflora. Its common name is molave. It is indigenous, can be found also in Indonesia and Malaysia, grows in low elevations and along sea coasts. It is an endangered tree. It is fast-growing, drought-tolerant. Its uses include high-grade construction requiring strength for furniture, interior works, novelties, railroad ties. Most of our railroad tracks are made of Vitex parviflora. The leaves can also be used as cattle fodder. The dominance of molave in forests over limestone hills is the main reason for the forests we call as molave forests. Another tree is the Artocarpus blancoi, commonly known as Antipolo. It is endemic in the country. Almost throughout the Philippines, it grows as high as 30 meters. It is a medium-sized to large tree. It is also fast-growing and drought-tolerant. The wood is used for light construction and house posts, paneling, furniture, cabinets, and musical instruments. Also for dugout canoes. So it has medicinal properties as well. Some of the IPs eat the leaves for medicinal purposes. So you will see in the photo, this is a house, is a common small smallholder farming family harvesting the Artocarpus blancoi in his home garden. Another is the Eucalyptus deglupta. The common name in the Philippines is bagras, or known in Southeast Asia as the rainbow tree. It is indigenous, but can also be found in Sulawesi, Moluccas, New Guinea. It goes as high as 60 to 75 meters. It is vulnerable. It grows very fast. It is a major plantation tree for pulp production, also used for roadside planting, can be made into lumber, veneer, or plywood, particle board, hardboard, and furniture components. Its oil is extensively used for pharmaceutical purposes. It belongs to the myrtle family and is the only eucalyptus that thrives on the north of the equator. It is known as a rainbow tree due to its attractive, colorful bark resembling a rainbow. So we have the Nauclea orientalis, known as bangkal. Other names is the late-charred pine. It is indigenous to Southeast Asia, New Guinea to Australia. It goes as high to 10 to 15 meters. It is medium size. It is not threatened. It is fast-growing and it's tolerant to waterlogging. Actually, it could grow along riverbanks and even in rice paddies. Its wood is suitable for light construction, interior works, furniture, cabinet work, also for pulp and paper production. So bangkal trees thriving along a river in Wuhan, Oriental Mindoro, which are naturally found in this area. These trees do not only provide sources of wood, but also used to protect their farms as windbreak and from riverbank erosion. We also have the Tuona calantas, known as also as Philippine mahogany or red cedar. It is endemic. It is critically endangered and it is moderately fast-growing. It is a valuable wood with pleasant cedar smell, used for furniture, musical instruments, boxes, and plywood. It has also medicinal properties and also used for roadside planting. It is locally known another as Philippine mahogany during this current period. It is a species of tree in the mahogany family as well. You have also the co-order Pseudodendron Pinatum or Amugis. It is indigenous in the Philippines, Borneo, Moluccas, Sulawesi, and Papua New Guinea. Goes as high as 40 meters. It is vulnerable based on IUCN. It is fast-growing. It has a heavy timber. It sinks in water, used for light construction, flooring, furniture, and cabinet making, as well as wood products as panels, balusters, picture frames, and ashtrays. You have the Palacium Luzoniense or natto. It is endemic. It can be found in primary forests at low and medium altitudes. It is vulnerable and goes as high as 40 meters. Timber is considered superior quality, used for construction woodwork, cabinet work, veneer, plywood, and furniture. And it has a source of gutta percha, a natural latex from the sap used for protecting wounds. And lastly, we have the Avisa Procera, or known as Akleng Parang, or other common names are white cerise. It is indigenous, widely distributed in the Philippines, also found throughout tropical Asia, in grassland and prairies. It goes as high as 30 meters. It is not threatened. It is fast-growing. Its wood is used to manufacture fine furniture cabinets and interior finish, and it's known to have medicinal uses. And its fodder is used for cattle, and its leaves are used as fodder for cattle and goats. It's ideal for reforestation purposes as well. Conclusion and ways forward. So based on the list of potential lesser-known tree species as alternative to the Philippine mahogany or the premium trees, the Philippines is a mega-diverse country in terms of biodiversity. However, it is also considered as a biodiversity hotspot due to high levels of deforestation and threats of forest degradation. During the 1960s to 70s, the Philippines was a major producer coming from the so-called Philippine mahogany or lawaans. These have been dramatically depleted in its natural habitat and facing extinction. As alternative to lawaans or principal timber trees, other lesser-known species have huge potential to provide provisioning services such as sources of timber and other wood-based materials. Tree farming and plantation establishment of native trees could support the local wood requirements of the forest-based industry in the Philippines. However, there's a need to strengthen research and development on native tree utilization in the aspects of silviculture, technological, value chain, as well as market analysis. So these are the references that were used in this presentation. So the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now, from an old Chinese proverb. Thank you very much. And
any questions from any of the panelists? No hands? Okay, Mr. Karl, it was a very, very informative talk from you. Only thing I just have a small query. Why do you call it as a lesser known species? Because most of them are well known for their timber properties. And so why you have categorized them as lesser known? That's the only question.
yes, thank you, Dr. Gupta. Well, basically, this is characterized to be lesser known because this list of trees has not been mainstream into the government, has not been well promoted as of the moment. What the government has been promoting largely are exotic or introduced species like the ones I've mentioned, like mahogany, falcataria, falcata, and even mangium, acacia mangium. So these are more, the country is promoting more on the exotic and introduced species, but we could also provide an alternative to these exotic species, as well as substitute to the premium or slow-growing dipterocarps or lawaan trees or the Philippine mahogany trees. So these have potential because the local people or the local folks, even the indigenous people, are already using this, but has not been documented in terms of research and development. So that is why it's less than one species.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Karl. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta.